You've got someone on your team right now where you've been seeing the red flags for a while, yet still haven't done anything about it. And that's the tolerance trap. You already know this video is about them, so let me give you both the green flags that say keep building and the red flags that say it's time to move on. So here's the thing. Your gut got you here. That loyalty you feel towards the people who showed up early, who stuck with you during the tough startup phase, who rode with you when no one else would have, it's not a flaw. That's what built the business. It was necessary, and you should own that. But at this stage, I hate to break it to you, your gut's compromised. You've got history with this person, probably shared war stories, late nights, and inside jokes that go back years. And that history makes your gut generous and forgiving in a way that costs both of you. I've been in that chair. I kept someone way too long because we'd been through a lot together, and by the time I finally acted, I already lost 2 people who got tired of picking up the slack. So instead of asking, do I feel good about them? You need things that you can actually point to. Things that are actually true, whether you feel generous that day or not. This first green flag is one most founders overlook. Now, green flag number 1. They name the gap before you do. They come to you and say, I don't think I'm keeping up with what this role needs now. Not in a self-pity kind of way or fishing for reassurance. Instead, in a sort of, here's what I'm seeing. Here's where the job has outgrown me, and here's where I need help kind of way. That's a person who's honest about the gap between where they are and where the role needs them to be. Most people would never do this because the role is their identity and they'll protect it fiercely. When someone brings that to you without you having to drag it out of them, it tells you that they care more about the outcome than about looking good. And that's the raw material you can build on. Now, naming the gap is step 1, though. Step 1 without step 2 is just a nice conversation. So, green flag number 2. They've changed behavior after a hard conversation, and the change stuck. Not just nod their head and say, yeah, I hear you, but actually changed what they do on an average morning. You had the conversation in January, and by March, behavior was different, and it stayed that way through a hard quarter. That's the test, because a lot of people receive feedback beautifully. I mean, they're gracious and they take notes and they thank you for your honesty, and then nothing moves. The green flag isn't how they take the conversation. It's what the next 6 weeks look like after they walk out of your office. So now you got honesty and follow through. Most founders would stop checking there. Now, green flag number 3, and this is the hardest one to fake. The standard holds when you're not around. You go on vacation or step out of a department for a month, and the quality of the work doesn't drop. Decisions still get made at the right level, right where the work is actually happening. The team doesn't stall waiting for you to come back and validate everything. If the standards only exist when the founder's watching, it's not a standard, it's compliance. And compliance breaks the moment things get difficult. This person doesn't need you in the room to perform because the standard's theirs, not yours. But most founders didn't click on this video only for the green flags. So now the reds. I want to be direct with you. Any one of these on its own is a no-go. 2 together and you're already behind on the decision. After all, the team's been paying attention a lot longer than you think. Now, red flag number 1. The excuse loop is running. You know exactly what this sounds like. She's been here since the beginning. He knows the product better than anyone else. The team loves her. Every one of those is probably a true statement, but none of them answer the question. The question is, can this person do the job the role requires? Right here, right now, at this stage of the business. The excuse loop is how your brain protects you from the hard conversations. It feeds true facts that don't address the actual problem. And every quarter, the excuse changes. I've watched founders run this loop for 2, even 3 years. Different excuse, same person sitting in the same seat. You might say, she was adjusting to the new system, or, he was going through a rough patch, or the team around her didn't give enough support. The story shifts. The conclusion's always the same. Not now. The longer the loop runs, the more it costs you when you finally do act. And while you're running that loop in your head, the team's already adjusting. And that brings me to red flag number 2. The team is routing around them. This one's a little more subtle. Nobody comes to you and says, I don't trust her judgment. Instead, what happens is a bit harder to see. People start going to someone else for the decisions this person should be making. Work gets duplicated because no one wants to wait on their sign-off, and meetings start happening without them. If you look at how information actually moves through your business right now, and the person you're thinking about isn't in that path, the team's already made the decision. They just can't make it official. They're waiting on you to do that part. Now, those two are at least visible once somebody points them out. And on this next one, you've probably already normalized. So red flag number 3. And this one predicts the outcome more reliably than anything else. You've had the same conversation more than twice. The same topic, same gap, same, I'm going to work on it. And there's a short burst of improvement, but after 2 weeks, maybe 4, it goes right back to where it was. That's not a coaching problem or a clarity problem. The pattern is the answer. When someone shows you improvement that doesn't stick, they're not failing to change. They're showing you their ceiling, their limits. And every time you have that conversation again, instead of acting on what you already know, you're teaching the entire team something about how the standards actually work around here. You're teaching them that the standards bend if someone has enough history with you. So write this down. Reds outrank green. Even one red flag cancels out 3 greens. If the excuse loop is running, it doesn't matter that they named the gap once. If the team is routing things and decisions around them, it doesn't matter that they changed behavior 3 years ago when things were a lot calmer. 2 reds together, you're making the decision this week. Not next quarter, this week. Because the stakes are bigger than one person's role. If you've seen a flag I didn't cover, drop it in the comments. I'm always picking up new patterns from founders who've been through this. So, what you tolerate becomes the standard. Your team doesn't read your values doc. They read your behavior when things get uncomfortable. Every week you keep someone in a seat they've outgrown, you're not just carrying one underperformer, you're telling every high performer on your team that results don't actually matter as much as the history does. And that's when good people start leaving. Not immediately. They just stop bringing the extra effort. And then one day, they'll bring you a resignation letter instead. every founder I've worked with who waited too long on this said the same thing afterwards. I already knew. A standard that bends under pressure isn't a standard. It's just a preference. And preferences don't scale companies. If you know a founder who's been sitting on this decision, send them this video. Sometimes it has to come from outside. So this week, pull up the seat standard for the role you're thinking about right now. If you don't have one written, write it. What does strong look like? What does weak look like? And what are the non-negotiable behaviors? Then hold the person in that role against what you wrote, not against their history or a few late nights on a tough project, and not against their effort, against the written standard. If the gap is clear, the conversation is this week, not when the timing feels right, because the timing never feels right. That's the trap. Now, if this video made you think about someone specific, there's a reason. People decisions are almost always the first thing that stalls when the founder's buried in operations. You already know who it is. You just haven't had the time or the headspace to act on it. So take our 10 hours back challenge. In 21 days, you get 10 to 15 hours back from operational firefighting. So you actually have the space to make decisions like this one. Or you get your money back. The link's in description. And I'll see you in the next video.